Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between hills and fields, lived a poor but hardworking laborer named Kallu. Every day, he set out with his old shovel and donkey to dig up soil from the riverbank, which he then sold to potters and farmers. His days were long, the pay was meager, but he never complained. Kallu was content with the simple life he led, always grateful for a warm meal and his family's love. One morning, as he dug deeper than usual near the edge of the river, his shovel hit something hard. Curious, he dropped to his knees and brushed away the dirt. There, half buried in the earth, was a smooth, shining stone. It glistened faintly even in the early sunlight, almost like a piece of glass, but clearer and purer than anything he had ever seen. He turned it over in his hands, examined it, and thought to himself, "It's pretty, but it's probably just a polished stone." Not knowing its worth, he tied it around his donkey Lalu's neck with a string, like a charm. The donkey didn't seem to mind and continued chewing on grass as if nothing had happened. Later that day, as Kallu led Lalu through the village to sell soil, the stone sparkled under the sun, catching the attention of passers-by. Most just admired it from a distance, assuming it was a piece of glass or crystal. But one man stopped him, Ramesh, a local grocery shop owner. Ramesh was clever and always kept an eye out for things he could use to decorate his shop. "What's that shiny thing hanging from your donkey's neck?" Ramesh asked, pointing. Kallu looked down and said casually, "Oh, this? Just a stone I found while digging. Looks nice, right?" Ramesh examined it closely. It didn't look like glass. Something about it felt special, though he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Wanting to take a chance, he said, "It's pretty. I'll give you 50 rupees for it." Kallu's eyes widened slightly. For a man like him, 50 rupees was a good deal for something he didn't even know had any value. "Done," he said, and handed over the stone. Ramesh tied it to the chain of his weighing scale in the shop. It looked beautiful as it dangled, spinning slowly and catching the light. Customers often commented on how nice it looked. Some asked where he bought it. Ramesh always smiled and said, "Just something I picked up from a villager." Weeks passed. One afternoon, a jeweler named Harish visited Ramesh's shop to buy some lentils and flour. As he waited at the counter, his eyes were drawn to the scale. He walked closer, and his heart skipped a beat. The shape, the clarity, the reflection, it wasn't just a shiny stone. Harish was almost certain it was an uncut diamond, a very large one at that. He tried to hide his excitement and asked, "That's quite an interesting stone on your scale. Mind telling me where it came from?" "Oh, just something I bought from a laborer. Cost me 50 rupees, Ramesh replied. Harish smiled. "Would you sell it?" Ramesh, sensing it might be worth something, shrugged and said, "Sure, 100 rupees. Harish, always looking for the cheapest deal, said, 80 rupees. "No," Ramesh replied firmly. 100, take it or leave it. Harish hesitated. Something told him it was a real diamond, but he wasn't sure, and he didn't want to risk overpaying. "I'll come tomorrow," he said and walked away. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, another jeweler, Mr. Vora, was passing through the village on his way to the city. His car broke down just outside town. While his driver inspected the engine, Mr. Vora wandered into Ramesh's shop for a drink of water. As he stood near the counter, he noticed the diamond. Unlike Harish, Mr. Vora had spent years dealing with rare gems. The moment he saw the stone, he recognized it for what it was, a priceless, uncut diamond, one that could be worth millions. Without hesitation, he turned to Ramesh and asked, "How much for that stone?" Ramesh, still unaware of its true value, replied, 100 rupees. Mr. Vora took out his wallet, handed over the cash, pocketed the stone, thanked Ramesh, and left as soon as his car was fixed. The next morning, Harish returned, sure that he could now buy the stone for 90 rupees. He walked into the shop with a confident smile and said, "All right, I've changed my mind. Let's settle at 90. Ramesh looked up and said, "It's gone." "What? Sold it?" "Yes. Someone came last night and bought it for 100. Harish's face turned pale. "Do you know what you've done?" That wasn't a shiny stone, it was a priceless diamond. Ramesh stared at him, stunned. What? It was worth lakhs, maybe even crores. You sold it for 100 rupees. There was silence for a moment. Then Ramesh smiled and said, "You're the one who knew its value, not me. I just saw a shiny stone. You knew it was priceless, and still argued over 20 rupees. So, who's the real fool?" Harish stood there, speechless. He turned around and left, angry at himself for letting greed and hesitation cost him a fortune. Meanwhile, Mr. Vora had the diamond polished, cut, and certified. It was later auctioned internationally and sold for an unbelievable amount. The diamond became famous, and its story spread far and wide. Back in the village, Kallu continued his life unaware of the treasure he once possessed. But he never regretted anything. He had food to eat, a roof over his head, and a heart full of peace. And Ramesh? Well, his shop became the most talked about place in the village. People came just to hear him retell the tale of the diamond he sold for 100 rupees, and how he outwitted the man who knew it all but lost it all. Moral of the story: sometimes, it's not ignorance that causes loss, but hesitation, overthinking, and greed. Value doesn't lie in what we hold. It lies in recognizing what we have and acting at the right time.